Hello, my name is Lisa Elvin Staltari, and this is my channel, Have Roots, Will Travel. I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Most of my videos will be about travel or understanding various localities. In this special series, though, I'm focusing my attention on something that is really near and dear to my heart. It's part of Quebec history. It is the story of the Filles du Roi, or the King's Daughters. In this programming, I will be focusing on individual biographies for each of the Filles du Roi so that we can get to know as many of these amazing women as possible. I've already produced one prior to this one, and that was Marie Ursule Arculaire. And today we're going to be looking at another one. So let's get started, shall we? But before we do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the notifications alert so you'll know when I post new content. So let's begin by reviewing Les Filles du Roi. In a previous video, the one that I did of Marie Ursule Arculaire, I went into great depth. I don't think I want to repeat that in each of the videos, so I'm going to make a standalone, much more comprehensive video on Les Filles du Roi, the program, all of the intricacies of it, so that you can have that as a referral. So with that being said, let's go and explore the Fille du Roi that we're looking at today. Her name is Élisabeth Agnes Lefebvre, and she is also my 8th times great-grandmother. Let's explore where she's from. She was born about 1655 in the parish of Saint-Germain in Paris, which is found in the 6th arrondissement, the 6th section. And her father, Guillaume Lefebvre, was doing very well for himself, and her mother's name was Barbe Viau. Now, unfortunately, Guillaume passed away. And when her father died when she was about 14 years of age, she left for New France, was recruited, and left for New France in 1670 at the age of approximately 15 years of age. That is an enormous undertaking. She is definitely one of the youngest. She took with her an estimated 200 pounds of goods. I don't have more information on her mother. We just know for a fact that her father had passed on. Now, once she got there, she had to pick a groom. Well, the first groom she picks, Nicolas Nateau, didn't work out so well. On the 31st of August, 1670, a marriage contract was drawn up between Élisabeth and Nicolas. But on the 3rd of September, 1670, that contract was annulled. On the 3rd of September, another contract was drawn up, and this time she got the guy, François Thibault. Now, I like to believe that Nicolas was just somebody she picked, and then François came along and swept her off her feet and convinced her. You know, I have this whole story in my head. Maybe it's true, maybe not, but that's what I like to believe. François Thibault was the son of Louis Thibault and René Gauthier. He was born on the 28th of June, 1647, in La Flotte, which is on the Ile de Ré, in the Charente-Maritime area and part of La Rochelle, France. He arrived in Canada sometime in 1665, and he can be found in the 1666 census as the servant for Robert Paris in Beaupré. So now she's picked out her guy. Let's see what happens. And yes, they were married. On the 14th of October, 1670, in Sainte Anne de Beaupré, we find the marriage certificate, or the marriage record, if you will, of François Thibault and Élisabeth Agnes Lefebvre. Now, what's interesting is that it does not list her parents, which is very unusual. Most of the time, a lot of the time, it does list the bride's parents and where they're from and all that. We found that in other genealogists have found that in other sources. But this is the actual marriage record from that period. It's quite amazing to see. So once they were married, they settled in Sainte-Anne-de-Beaupré, the same city that they were married in. And this is very common in, when you're researching, once you find the marriage certificate, try to find out what, where they were born. Usually their first child is born in the same area within 9 months to a year. And in fact, that is what happened. Their firstborn child, Élisabeth, was born and baptized in Sainte-Anne-de-Beaupré. Later children were baptized in Quebec City. Sainte-Anne-de-Beaupré is about 22 miles north of Quebec City. It is a wonderful little town that has all kinds of interesting old-time classic French Canadian aspects, but the most famous one is the Basilica de Sainte-Anne-de-Beaupré, that is one of the major tourist areas in Quebec, and it is reputed to be a healing place. The first person to be healed there was healed of his rheumatoid arthritis, so of course lots and lots of people have flocked to there. So it's a really renowned place and a beautiful one at that. Now, after a while, they decided they wanted to pick up stakes and go somewhere else. And they ended up a little bit further down the road. And that we don't know for sure when François and Élisabeth would have made that decision to move to Cap Saint-Ignace, but we do know that their fourth child was Marianne, was born and baptized here at Cap Saint-Ignace in 1680. So sometime in the late 1670s, I presume, is when they would have made that decision. Cap Saint-Ignace is a municipality found inside the Chaudière-Appalaches region of Quebec. It's located about 43 miles east of Quebec City. Cap Saint-Ignace is located on the scenic Pioneers Road West, also known as Route 132. Now, the town's motto, Mets le cap sur la Valiance, translates as vigilance is your bearing. The people of Cap Saint-Ignace are also known as les Valiants. I think it's very charming. I think it's amazing. You can kind of get a feeling of the strength of these people and their conviction. I just have that feeling when I read that. Now, the town gets its name from Saint Ignatius of Loyola. Now, you can see on the left hand of your screen, on the left, the Vincelot windmill is a flour mill built in 1691 by Charles Joseph Amiot de Vincelot. And he took over the seigneury in about 1688. He was a navigateur, a lieutenant in the Navy, and a military commander of the South Coast. Amiot de Vincelot is an important figure in the history of the Côte du Sud. The new lord quickly undertook the construction of a windmill on the shores of the St. Lawrence River. The mill, however, it lasted until the middle of the 18th century when a water mill was erected at the seigneury. So that gives you kind of a really interesting flavor of how this little town came to be. Now, let's have a look at the family of François and Élisabeth. Let's have a look at the family that François and Élisabeth produced. We have a total of 12 children that she gave birth to, only 2 of whom did not make it. We have Élisabeth, who was the firstborn, and she married Jacques. First, she married Martin Rousseau and had 2 children. Upon his passing, she remarried Jacques Bélanger and had another 4 children. In total, she had 5 children that made it to adulthood. Then we have Jean-François, the firstborn son. He married Angélique Perrault, and they had 16 children, 12 of whom made it to adulthood. Then we have Jacques, who married Marie-Anne Perrault, the sister of Angélique, and they had 15 children, and 11 of whom made it. Then we have Marie-Anne, who married Jean Dumas, and one child only, which is very unusual. And then we have my personal girl. She's my 7 times great grandmother, Geneviève, married Jean-François Bélanger, and they had 9 children, 8 of whom made it to adulthood. And yes, Jean-François Bélanger is the brother of Jacques Bélanger, who married Geneviève's older sister, Élisabeth. Then we have Anne, who married Louis Cloutier. They had 10 children, only 4 of whom made it. Angélique Thibault married Michel Minier, and they had 10 children, 8 of whom made it. Madeleine married Charles Goudreau, and they had 17 children, the most, and 13 of them made it to adulthood. Then we have Marie Barbe, who married Nicolas Fournier, and they had 11 children, and 10 of whom made it to adulthood. And Louis Thibault, he married Cécile Fournier, and they had 10 children as well. And I believe all of them made it to adulthood, which is amazing. And yes, Cécile Fournier was the sister of Nicolas Fournier, who married Marie. Let me just see, who married Marie Barbe. It's very tangled. Now, what's really amazing, okay, these 2 people produced 12 people, 10 of whom made it, and those 10 people produced 83 total descendants. And those are the lines. And that's one of the reasons why this particular family continues. You're going to see there's a lot of linkages. One of my best friend actually, she descends from Jean-François Thibault. And I have other friends who descend from there. We didn't know, of course, but a lot of people descend from this particular family. Very, very important. So with that, we have later years. François Thibault was buried November 10th, 1724, and was buried at Cap Saint-Ignace. Elizabeth Agnes died very shortly, didn't even make it a year, 28th of July, 1725, and she also was buried at Cap Saint-Ignace. She was 70 years old. And this completes our second installment of Les Filles du Roi. Stay tuned. We will be looking at someone else. I'm not sure who yet, and very shortly. Please send me any requests that you might have. And until we meet again, au revoir.